So now move on to category model and refine our code and make a new method in our category model. So to fetch all the categories from the database. So we are company's controller. Okay, let's close this and find our category. Control P, a short command to find category model. So in a category model, here we will create. So we'll create a method public function where user, and okay, mm, if I created this method as static, so static without instantiating, we can access that method. Okay, in a where user, so remember we have a company ID null in our database when we create a new user. So it's that we have created right now the admin, and its company ID is null. So see, if this is the case, so when the new user is created and if its company ID is null, so what will be the company ID then? And so we need to fetch all the categories from our database. So we will set a variable in our method company ID is equal to null. So then we say company ID will be equal to, and we use a ternary statement, a ternary operator, and we say so company ID is equal to null if this condition is true. So see, we have created a new user and its company ID is null. If this is the scenario, company ID is equal to null, so then the auth will use auth facade, the auth user company ID. So then the company ID will be the auth user company ID. Okay. And if it is false, then we say this company ID that we have set null. So then this null will be the company ID. Okay. So if it is null, so the company ID is default. We have set the value default value to a company ID is null. Then we are using an ternary operator. If this condition true, company ID is null. This condition become true. So this is true. Company ID is null. So we auth user company ID. So the currently logged in user and its company ID will be this ID. Otherwise, the default company ID will be the company ID. And we can check it. If there is a company ID in our currently logged in user, then this will be the company ID. Otherwise, the null value that we have set to our company ID will become this company ID. Oh, so this makes this will make you understand. So more of the concept will be clear as we progress and as we create more coding on budgets, expense, user ACLs and reports. So this will become comfortable. And right now Okay, let's fetch all the categories by using a DB facade from our database. And we will in this function, if this condition is this, we have to check and here close this statement as well. And now return DB facade, select this table, and we will select by DB raw and use this parentheses and the string, and here we will create our query. In a query we will say select and select from first from select, let's create an alias from categories table, and we use as C. So category is the alias of this category is C. Now we can easily select category dot id from the categories table where it is. So category id comma category name C dot name or company id. First let's set company id, then C dot name category name company id, then category name, and also let's see dot created at and updated at c dot updated at. So select these fields, these column from categories table, id company id name created at updated at. So select this one, and from categories has a alias c, and okay. So we will now set where clause where c dot company id c dot company id is equal to the variable that we have set right above top of this db raw company id. Okay, save it. So let's see one more time. So we have a default company id null, and if the company id is not null, then we set the auth currently logged in user and his company id, otherwise the default company id to this one. Okay, and return db select db raw, and we are fetching the db raw. Db raw means that we are creating our own syntax of the query, which is the all the way to MySQL query way. To select c dot c is our category alias, so c dot id and c dot company id, c dot name, c dot created at updated at. And other that we have to say group by, we use another clause group by c dot id. So it will group all the cids categories, and order by c dot name ascending, asc ascending. Save it. So this query will fetch all the selected column from the categories table, and where this company id match to this company id, and it will order by categories name, and it will group the cid. So we can comment. Okay, let me check if it is not making a error. So before making it, and we have to come to a categories controller. Here we are sending categories. So this auto user company ID get, and we need to now uh, control L to select and control shift D to duplicate the line, and the first one will make it commented. Here we will remove all that code, and we use where user. So where user, okay, and in a category, save it. Control S to save. In a category, we need to include all the files in our namespace. So we are using auth. So F5 starts as well as the DB. So DB is included. Now let's check to our browser. Refresh. So we are accessing our companies. If I go to home and in a change company, we are accessing our companies. If I change it to where it is in mm, I think it was the categories. Yes, here is the error. Syntax error, access violation, smart expands, company ID is not in group by. So this is the error that I want to show you, because I am sure that it will come group by sqlc.id. So it will not make the group by the CID, because there is only the unique ID that we have in our database. So in a categories table, so all the IDs are unique. So it cannot group the ID. It will group the ID if I check it on a company ID. So it will group all the ID and make it one object. Okay, we can comment it right now. So when we use another queries to fetch all the when we select our budgets, and when we join our expense, so it will work for that. And also when we check this query to from our user detail table, so it will work. Okay, let's comment this group by and check if there is no error. So see, we are not getting the error. Okay, we are getting now the categories as per our user ID. Okay, and we can quickly make for the period. So in a period, control P, select your period model, and in a period model, the same is the public function where user, and here we will not set to a null. Why? Because if auth user company ID find the company ID by the currently logged in user and its company ID, so and then return db table, and we are returning a db uh, db table periods where company id is equal to this company id, and order by id descending, and get all fetch all the records from the database. As the same way that we are going in our periods. Okay, and let's include the auth facades, and also include the db. Okay, in the category periods, so here we are getting all the periods. So we will not get this way. And let me copy this and put here. Okay, let's use our method periods, and here is the where user. method in a period. So save it, period, this periods, and we are getting from here where user, and in a categories period, so where we are returning this array. Save it and let's check if there is no error. So yes, so we have a September one and it make an order by ID. mm, if and let's change it to order by created at, or we can simply make it to ascending. The first one ascending, first in first out. So first in first out. Okay, fine, great work. So we have done our for company. We have done these some changes, refining our code for category and period. Okay, let's change our user and see logged in. Okay, we have no company and we have no period and categories. So please select your company first or create. So let's create the company quickly, and this time Rana, submit. So company is created and let's refresh. Okay, but why still is sending the error? Please create and select your company. So this is displaying an error. So the error is, so please create or select your company first. We have created the company, and when we goes to a department period, the company is not selected and we can check it. So we have created the company and we can check it into a company. The company is created, but this company is not selected yet. And here the company ID is zero, null, and the company name is null. So before going to create a department and periods, we need to select this company, and you see its background will be changed. New company Rana selected, and here it is changed, and now we can easily move to a department and periods. So I will create some of departments and periods for that company. So in the next video, definitely we will start our ACL access control list for user. So we will achieve that component or module. So stay tuned.